It's Chelsea.
It's Nina.
And you're in the Critics' Kingdom.
Hello, welcome back everybody. Today
Hello.
we will be reviewing another fan favorite. We love when we do the fan favorites.
Yeah.
The wonderful Cadet Kelly.
Yes, came out in 2002 starring everybody's two Disney favorites, Christy, Carlson, Romano, and Hilary, Duff.
Or as I will probably end up referring to them very often, Lizzie and Ren.
Lizzie and Ren.
They'll probably be those people forever. Like, at least for me. Let's be honest. I know you shouldn't do that to actors, but you know.
It's also because Hilary is now in Younger, which I really like.
Right, I haven't watched
playing a character,
but I do
Kelsey.
know that you enjoy it.
It's really good. You might like it. Same guy that did Sex and the City does it.
I never really I think I missed the boat on that because it just wasn't available to me, and now I can't do it. It just doesn't. I've tried to watch a few episodes. It doesn't track for me.
I feel that,
but
yeah,
maybe it's because it's nothing like my experience.
New York now.
Yeah, it's like this is not. It's like, you know, it's like Friends. If you come on too late to that, you're like, well.
Yeah, I've still never watched Friends, and I've never felt a desire to.
It's funny. It's just not timeless.
Yeah,
you know? It's very steeped in a very specific sort of era.
When I first watched Sex and the City on HBO like a year or two ago, I was like, oh, I get why you guys liked it so much when it came out. Like, I understood it completely. But yeah, I also like. I think I got up to like I think I'm on season 3 or something, and like I just haven't felt much of a need to continue, you know.
Sure.
But you know, we're not.
I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, we're not talking about Sex and the City. We're talking about Cadet Kelly. So to get into the recap, it came out in 2002, like we said.
Mm-hmm.
And it begins with Kelly, who is like this free-spirited 8th grader who's at the Manhattan Magnet School, Middle School of Arts or something.
Something along that nature.
But she goes to like, you know, an artsy school. So they're like doing rhythmic dancing. Her teacher is like, you need to turn in a video as your end of year project. Like, it's just very like.
Think St. Anne's. St. Anne's.
Well, it's if you're in New York.
If you know never mind. Continue, Chelsea.
It's just a very artsy type of school, and they're very free thinking.
Or Brown. Might be the better reference.
Yeah, just very free thinking.
Yeah.
Just think of a free thinking school. And we see her with her dad, and we find out her dad's a documentarian, and they're both going to go visit her mom. And her mom has recently is now seriously dating this guy that used to be a general in the army called Joe. And when they go to her mom's house, who she lives with, it looks like, it's, you know, her parents get along very, very well, even though they're divorced.
They're co-parenting.
Yeah, they're co-parenting.
In 2002.
Yeah,
go ahead.
They're co-parenting, and they're doing it very well because she has no issue with Joe and, like, feels no animosity towards either parent. And, you know, she's just like, Joe is always very rigid. He's very military. Like, he doesn't know how to hug people. And, you know, she's the super artsy girl, so she doesn't understand that.
All I do is feel.
Literally. So she doesn't get that, but her mom ends up dropping the bomb on her that they're getting married. And she's super happy. She's like, yes, I think you deserve this, Mom. Like, he's great, blah, blah, blah. He's so stable. You need stable. Like, basically said it like that.
When you know that your daddy was running around chasing dreams and it was too much.
Yeah.
Like, you know that it was real. You need stable.
And so she's super happy, and her mom's like, well, I'm happy that you're happy about that, even though Sir is just like, you don't have to give us, like, we don't need your permission to get married. Like, we can just get married because we're 2 adults. And then she's just like, I mean, okay, but like, I'm giving you my permission. And then her mom is then like, yeah, also we're moving upstate because he's about to go become the commandant essentially of a military school, which has always been his dream. And we're all moving up there. So Kelly's like, what? But she's also a very chill type of artsy child. So she's just like, okay, I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
So they go upstate. We see her in her first day at like military school. And she's like comes in with all of this huge suitcase and all these scarves and like accessories and color. And everybody is just looking at her like, who is this girl? Does she not know military school 101? Like, no individuality? And they're all just looking at her crazy. She meets Carla, who is a lovely Andrea Lewis from Degrassi. And Carla is just like, girl, what are you doing? Because the first thing that Kelly does is she takes out this rainbow colored blanket and puts it on her bed.
Which we loved.
And Carla was literally like, you can't do that. Like, you can't have any colors. This is the military.
You can't have any colors.
This is the military, girl.
You better put on some gray.
Literally.
Some camouflage, something that
So
blend you
then
into
we
a woodland.
see, I think the next thing we see is that she ends up meeting Captain Stone because all the girls are like bad mouthing. They're like, ugh, we have horrible Captain Stone as like our cadet like major, and she's like basically the like prefect essentially. So she's the one that watches them. And they're like, we have her, and you know, she's such a like hard ass. I can't say that, but that's essentially what it is. And you know, she's all about her rules, blah blah blah. So Captain Stone, like the next morning when they get up at the bugle call, Kelly wakes up and she's wearing like her normal stuff because she doesn't realize yet that like this is military school and you have to wear specific outfits for everything. And Captain Stone just immediately can't stand her because she's like, you're out of uniform. You don't care. Like, I can't work with this. And Kelly is just like, yes, but I'm an artist. Like, so there is immediately some tension between the two of them. And because Kelly doesn't really know how to do certain things. So Captain Stone is like, all right, well, we're about to put, you know, we got to put the end into that. So they go outside eventually wearing their like, their actual like army uniform. And they're all, I think, like, they're not at ease, but they're all like waiting in a like a marching line type thing situation. And again, Kelly, you know, comes out late, but then also wearing like a scarf and like bangles. And Carla has to be like, girl, put that away. Like, put that away right now. Because Captain Stone is about to walk right down and like she's checking to see how everybody looks. And Kelly is like, oh, okay. So she puts it all in her hat, in her beret. And it works until she has to salute. And then, of course, she accidentally hits it too hard at the top. And everything comes coming down. And Captain Stone just looks at her like, maggot. Like, that's literally what she just keeps calling her. And she's just like, you were literally a maggot. And at that point, Carla's like, okay, permission for me to like help this girl out because she needs it. And then Captain Stone's like, fine. So Carla shows her the ropes and shows her like, this is how things are done. This is what you wear when X, Y, and Z. We also then see that Captain Stone has a crush on this other captain, like cadet major Brigby, who is played by Shawn Ashmore. And
a heartthrob of the day.
Literally was like a heartthrob at that time. So we see this one scene because at this point now, Kelly and Captain Stone, which is Christy, Carlson, Romano, are like enemies. Like by this point, because they just had too many tussles, it's no longer just tension, it's now just enemy territory.
Psychological warfare.
Kelly immediately sees that Captain Stone likes this guy, quickly makes eyes with her, and then they both start walking towards him. And then to the point that Kelly gets right in front of her and salutes him so that Captain Stone just looks crazy.
Yeah, the point is that they both look crazy running for this man. Like,
yes.
Across like
it's literally quad. Across the quad. Like, they look insane.
They both look
But after that, like, a series of other things happen that's just, like, various forms of psychological warfare. So Captain Stone tears up Kelly's blanket. Kelly then retaliates by coloring, like, physically painting Captain Stone's hair in a rainbow, like, color.
Oh, and the dress at the dance, too.
Yeah. And then
before that, she she shit at boot camp.
Yeah, she gets them to do like obstacle courses or like
they all have
to do like these like various obstacles, and like one of the ones is like really muddy and they have to do all these things, and Kelly is like climbing up on the last thing, and then she's like, I can't come down, I'm afraid of heights, I don't even want to grow taller. And then Captain Stone is like, are you insane? Like, what do you mean? Kelly finally comes down, and then Captain Stone's like, okay, well, we have the dance tonight, but you're not going because you need to do that obstacle course 2 more times, and my friend Ramos over here is going to make sure that you do it. So poor Ramos and her are going to be out there, and it starts raining. She finally finishes because Ramos ends up helping her out. She softens her up. And then by that point, the dance is already in full swing. She's not going to have enough time to go home, change, all of that. And she ends up accidentally tumbling down the hill, goes right through the doors, and goes right onto Captain Stone's white dress with her muddy hands. And all these offenses basically add up to her being taken to cadet court. Because Captain Stone's is like, an assault is levied against me.
And she's not wrong.
And she's not wrong at all. Because again, her hair has been physically painted.
She's given as good as she's getting. I feel like, it's very...
It's equal. It's all is fair in love and war. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so the cadet court, it's actually Cadet Brigby is the one that's presiding over it. And he's like, yeah, you're guilty, girl. Like, I just, like, it's not a question. The woman's hair is painted. Still, to this day, has she not washed it? I don't know. And was it the same day? Like, we don't know. But, like, so she gets sentenced. So then she has to go to the general's office, which is her stepfather now. And he's basically like, listen, girl, I don't know what to do with you, but I can't, like, fully punish you because you're not fully my child, but, like, you need to be punished. So I'm going to make you be the equipment manager of the drill team. Even though earlier when they had met up, she said they looked like robots because they were tossing around rifles, fake rifles. But, that's part of the thing. So she becomes the equipment manager. She just, like, basically shines all their boots and stuff and makes sure that they're ready for competition. But she soon learns that, like, they never win anything because they can't loosen up in, like, the individual part
or create. I forget.
It's like the
exhibition. Is that what's? No, that's the part that they're good at.
Yeah, the exhibition is when everybody's all together and they're doing these right.
But they always the originality. They never.
Yeah, they're never that good in the originality when it's just like the two people doing their like thing. They're never as good in that. So she soon learns that and. She kind of gets, like, when she's trying to cheer up Captain Brigby after one of the times that they lose, she starts, like, dancing really funny and, like, making these, like, things, doing basically what she did in art school. And he's just like, hold on, do that again. And so she does it again for him. And then I think he kind of, like, realizes, like, oh, we need some, like, fun and originality in here because nobody has that. So at that point, she also then decides, like, oh, I'm going to try out for the team. So she tries out for the drill team with Ramos. Ramos is like, I'll teach you everything. Like, she gives her some scarves and she's like, sure. And Ramos is like, cool. And so she ends up trying out for the drill team. She makes it. And she starts practicing with them. And then it ends up being her and Captain Stone have to do the creative part together because they both like are like trying to get Captain Brigby's attention one day. And, like, it ends up working out and looking like an actual routine. So he's like, we need to do that. Like, whatever that is, you guys need to do it. Yeah, you guys
are our stars now.
Yeah.
So figure it out.
So they end up working that out. And then we get to, they work hard. And we also find out that her mom is, like, pregnant with her and Sir's baby. And she's like, I need to turn Sir into a father, not just, like, this super hardened general.
Yeah.
And then at that point, we get to, like, their final competition after her dad comes and her, like, biological father comes and visits them. And he's like, I'm going to come to your competition because you seem, like, really amped up about this drill team. And so he comes so we get to the day of the competition. They do the big part, the exhibition portion with everybody all together, and they do pretty good. But she notices her father's not there. And she, like, gets a phone call from him, but nobody picks up. So she gets really worried, and Sir kind of picks up on it, and he's like, what's wrong? And then she's just like, my dad's never nodded anything. Like, he knows this means so much to me. Like, he's around. He's nearby. I know he gets himself into sticky situations. Like, I just want to check on him. Her and Sir then, like, go to the Hudson, like, area. They end up finding out that her dad, like, accidentally, like, tripped over a rock.
And it's like, his camera strap, but it really looks like blood
he's
from the first thing, like, from his neck. It's so terrifying.
He's turned at such a really bad angle. It's bad.
Really bad. But, he's, like, falling on a rock.
He's fallen on a rock, and he's, like, on, like, a precipice, basically. So they end up having to call the police, and, like, the emergency services comes and gets... Like, she rappels down. She uses her military school. Her military training. She rappels down and, like, stays by him and makes sure he wakes up, and then emergency services comes, and they end up getting back to the competition, her and Sir, right on time for her and Captain Stone to do their creativity portion together, and she tells everybody what happened. And they end up doing very well in the creativity portion, but they end up getting second place overall. But, obviously it's like everybody learns so much more. And, like, Sir is also more of a father now because he ends up hugging her at the end and not just giving her a handshake like he'd normally been doing. And it also unfortunately ends with her and Captain Stone being like, "Oh wow, we finally have a truce and like we're cool." And then Captain Stone's like, "Yeah, so I'm moving to Europe
because of military life,
right? So I won't even be here next year, but I want you to now be a captain." Yeah. So that you can bother the next maggot next year.
I hope you get one just like you.
Yeah.
And
that's the end of Cadet Kelly.
For the review, I guess we can just start off by, just acknowledging, I think that the main sort of arc of this film is literally just about, individuality versus uniformity.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, because I guess I put the military in a sort of different category than like conforming, simply because it's like it is a distinct part of society that is meant to be that way.
Yeah.
It's purposeful, So, yeah. But of, just sort of the merits of that type of uniformity and like sort of the voluntary stripping of individuality to like build a stronger whole versus, being unique and flamboyant and
doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where this lives, I think. And I mean, it's strange. It's really just not more complicated than that. Like, it's that sort of simple and easy of a film.
Yeah.
That's just that's what the movie's about.
And it also gave the character, it gave Kelly a structure that she seemed to very much need.
Yeah.
Because as much as we love the idea of her woo art school in the city, like she is the type of personality that like needs something to kind of rein her in a little bit so she can become her best self.
Yeah, because there are kids who do really well in that environment, but they're usually kids who will put those restraints on themselves.
Yeah.
Like the kid that you don't have to tell to do their homework. Or not even that, because I don't think you have to tell Kelly to do her homework. I think Kelly genuinely forgets. You know what I mean? Like, she becomes interested in something else, and she's just, like, bouncing off walls all the time and looking at butterflies. So
she's
you gotta
easily
be like,
distractible.
Yeah, you gotta be like, I need you to focus for a moment.
She strikes me as honestly like a young Lynn type from Girlfriends. That just like would probably actually enjoy has a love of learning, but doesn't want to do homework associated to
like
just wants to read and experience it.
When she's like, I could do math whenever I wanted to at my old school,
right? And
I was like, I'm sure on occasion she wanted to do math, but I also know it wasn't enough. I know for a fact it was not enough.
It was definitely not enough.
And her mom was busy like working. She had no time to do that, to sit down and make that kid. It's the same mom from Full Court Miracle, which is something to note.
Yeah, it is the same mom in an earlier film.
But that being said, I do think, and I think that this is why I loved it so much as a kid. Like, I really like her spirit, and I like her kindness. Like, she's a very, very kind child. To the point where she was like, sir, we're having a baby. We are having a baby. It's like, Kelly, you were not raising that child. That's not your job, but she has decided that is the case.
Right.
And even just the way that she sort of, she's the kind of kid who she's not emotionally getting in her parents' way. No. Which is a weird way to put that, and a kind of fucked up way to put that, but I just mean she's adjusted enough to understand that, like, okay, mom and dad, like, didn't work out. And, like, kind of for obvious reasons, because dad is running around. He's he's chasing stories.
He's a photojournalist / documentarian.
Yeah, it's like that's what he's doing, and like that's cool, and I think that's really great. But like that doesn't work for mom, and mom. She's not a lawyer again in this one, is she?
No, they don't.
She's something. Yeah, she's at
whatever she is. Office, it seems like she had like a nice office.
Yeah, she seems sort of corner office-y. Maybe, but like she's that, and her. I'm sure that isn't ideal for him, and it's, it didn't work.
The type of job that he had definitely didn't seem conducive to you having a family.
Yeah. And they, like, maybe it was rocky in a time that we didn't see, but she's well adjusted enough to, like, at the end she's like, yeah, I got 2 dads, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's cool. Got a dad and a sir, and they're both pretty cool.
Right.
And she figures out I can have multiple best friends, and I can, like...
Yeah.
She gets it pretty easily.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to leave the competition because she's like, I made a commitment.
She's invested in it now, and yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, but I'm really worried about him. And it's Sir who's like, we need to go get your dad.
Right.
Like, if you really believe that he's hurt, I believe, like, that's part of why he believes her. She's not a kid that lies.
No.
And she's not a kid that, she's just I think we kind of said it's that she's not bucking against authority, and she's not a bad kid.
Yeah, even in her early missteps with Captain Stone, it wasn't a intentional thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was literally a case of, like, she just didn't know that you just don't show up, you don't wake up and then not have your, the early morning uniform type thing that they have on. Like, you can't just be wearing pajamas. Like,
yeah, she didn't know that. But then Captain Stone stomped on her blanket, so
right.
Where it begins is when she brisk walks across that campus looking crazy.
Right.
To salute that man. That's when you're like, okay,
wild.
Now we were watching it, we were like, because it's long. You know what I mean? It's like 3 seconds.
They're both looking at each other. The whole from across the quad, you can tell that they're both secretly cussing each other out, being like, "Don't you keep moving?" And they keep speeding up.
It's so fun.
And he's probably also watching them like what
is about to descend on me? So strange.
These 2 crazy women. These 2 crazy women.
It's so entertaining watching them sort of have their bout. Also, I will say, like, Christy Carlson Romano, she plays these characters so well.
Yeah.
Like, she played an alpha, sort of, in theory, like, annoying character. A type A.
Yeah, type A
sort
character.
Of annoying character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the role of Ren on Even Stevens, and you were supposed to sort of get that, but I never disliked her.
Mm-hmm.
And I always very much understood, at least for me, that, like, it is much better to be a Ren than a Lewis. And, like, it's probably, it's probably fundamentally, in the long run, loosen up a little, but it's probably, good to be a Captain Stone as opposed to, a Kelly waving in the wind.
Yeah.
Too often. But she does it without, I feel like it's hard to do that. A lot of times you end up disliking the type A character.
Yeah.
Because they're doing too much.
Yeah.
And she, like, hits a sweet spot with it that you really see.
Yeah, no, she's really great at embodying those types of roles. Like Dina is saying. Like, it's, even in this one, like, it's like, you still like Captain Stone to a degree. Or, like, at least you kind of feel for her. Because it's like, if you just look at it from her perspective, she's like, I've worked so hard to become a captain over these kids, and now I have this insolent little girl who doesn't know what she's doing and keeps what I see as trying to undermine me.
Literally trying to undermine me. And then and by extension, the whole American military. Because she does actively say this to her point. She's like, well, it's like her mission to change the military academy.
Right.
And it's like, I understand how your, like, 14-year-old brain got there, 13 or 14-year-old brain got there, and as a kid, I was with you, but as an adult watching this, I'm like, little girl, if you don't, can you please just put on the damn uniform? Please. Yes. This is not a fight worth having.
It isn't. You're not gonna go.
You're not gonna win.
You're not gonna win. So yeah. So like.
Although if there would be anything to ultimately foil the American military, it would be a blonde girl with ribbons who ribbon dances. It would be that. Like, that would be the thing that revolutionized the whole thing, changed hearts and minds, and like made it a whole different situation. That would be the thing, because this is America. But
But yeah, no, from Captain Stone's perspective, it is a little like I can completely see why she acts the way she acts, and she's probably also had her sights set on, I'm sure, Brigby for like a couple of or at least a year now.
Yeah, and Brigby really made her take her hair out.
He really did. He was not feeling her. He really also wasn't feeling Kelly.
It wasn't. It was never. I never got the vibe from it. I guess when I was
she was definitely scheming on him.
When I was younger, I got that vibe, and I encouraged it. I supported it because again, heartthrob. Now I'm older watching it, I was like, it actually plays to me more like, even if they intended it to be that, it plays to me more like Big Brother, Little Sister.
To Brigby
and Kelly, not...
Oh, okay.
Not Christy Carlson. Oh, no, she's...
Okay.
She wants the D, like, we know that. But
yeah, no, Kelly was just being an antagonist.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite thing about it is that it literally is just psychological warfare by that point. Like, she just sees that she has her eyes, that Captain Stone has her eyes on him, and she's like, oh, must go.
Exactly. It's like, this is how I'm gonna get you. This is your weakness.
Right.
I have found it, and I will exploit it. It's very much,
how art of war of her.
It's very art of war, which
did they teach her in art school?
Everyone should read. But
shout out to Suju.
Is that something that they have to read?
I would
read that? Love that.
Is that the only book they art schools?
You have to read The Art of War? That'd be amazing.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, she just exploits her weakness very early, and then also gets all of her friends on her side, which is one person,
which is just
Ramos.
Just Ramos, and she really does win her affection with Scar.
With the scar,
so funny.
And by asking her about her hometown in Puerto Rico. Because she's probably
is it Puerto Rico?
Yeah, she's
not Peru.
Well, she says Ponce, and I know Ponce is a place in Puerto Rico. It might be a place in other places.
No, I literally just don't remember where exactly
That's what I was getting because I was also like, it's a territory, so it would make sense. If going to an American military
actually, that
school,
makes a lot more sense.
You know?
Yeah. I think you're right. That tracks.
But it could have been anything.
It could have been, but I think you're right.
Yeah. So, but yes, that's how she really wins her over. It's just like asking her about her life and how she's doing, and then being like, accessorize, like.
Oh, it's so absurd. It's so ridiculous. It's also just like, and I guess it does come down to that thing. It was like a huge part of this film is that, like, she has to be the commandant's stepdaughter, because if not, none of this would have been entertained for any period of time. The moment she started doing anything, even remotely,
they would have court-martialed her ass.
Yeah, they would be like, yo, get the hell together or get out. Like,
no, I know. We had another question, which was mostly just, why didn't they send that girl to the local public school?
Like, for real. Like, if I'm her mother, I would probably be like, I don't think... But she is a child that needed structure.
It's good
that she went there.
The need was there, but it is also.
But I think she would have gotten the same amount of structure that she lacked, or at least enough structure that was lacking at her old school from any other school around them. Any other school would have provided that. And I'm sure there's a local public school.
There's definitely there's always a local public school.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're not, like, upstate New York, it's not that country. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, where, like, it can't, like, the local public school isn't, like, miles away.
No.
Like, that's just not the case. I don't believe that that's true, so why didn't you just do that?
Why, yeah.
It's a free tuition, so you're like, why not?
That's literally probably what it was.
And does she have the option? Like, obviously she don't want to leave now, but, you know, did she have the option? Like, did you pose it to her? Because you didn't.
They definitely didn't.
She said this. She was like, I didn't choose any of this.
She didn't.
You didn't ask me any questions.
She wasn't.
And it's like,
to be fair, she is a trooper. Like,
yeah, like, you could have, at that age, you ask a kid. You engage with them about the school situation.
And especially because military school, the way it's normally framed, I feel like around the world, is very much like a negative. Like, you get sent to military school because you done fucked up, you know? Yeah. Or because you... The one time where
that doesn't happen is in... I've seen it not happen is in, like, Shameless, but that's because Carl is literally a delinquent baby criminal. And so military school is the best thing that ever happened to him. But of course he screws that up too because he's a baby criminal. Or like financially it doesn't work out. Something of that nature. But that's the only iteration I see where it's not. And even then it's still like for a bad kid to like shape up.
Yeah. You know? It's always framed as like a way for you to shape up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many kids... I think there are kids, actually, who
there definitely are kids who go because it's...
to want to go to middle
and a lot of times they are... Or, I'm not going to say that with any type of authority, but I know that there definitely is a through line with military school of, like the Commandant, like, military families, essentially.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't know that many military school kids. But all the places that we lived in didn't have one. Not for, like, high school. West Point is obviously its own thing. Like, that's a completely separate thing because they also pay for you, which is a whole different conversation. But yeah, I feel like it's a very it's a specific type of lifestyle, and it's very different from anywhere else you would go.
Yes, it's not like it's like these are
because your life is officially no longer your own to a degree.
Outside of that one time, she had to lower herself down to be with her father until the paramedics came.
Yeah. You're very controlled.
The skills that she, like... Yeah, she's gonna use the skills that she gets in military school. She will. But the direct translation of a lot of the sort of specialized skills are not. You know what I mean? Like, drill team, she's gonna take from it what you take from all organized sports.
Yeah.
But, like... I really hope she's not walking down the street spinning rifles. Like, I hope that that's not a thing that she does in her... You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah. I think I'd like to call this version of drill team, because there is a different version of drill.
There really is.
Which is black. But this version of drill team is like white people's version of stepping. In my, like, eyes.
Yeah. Because that's like, what... At least that's what they have shown us.
Yeah. Well, no, because this is a real thing.
My only images of it are this film.
Yeah, no. This is like a real thing. But there is also a different... If for other people, if you don't know that there's another version of this that is black and in the South, and it is great.
Whistles.
There's majorettes. It's beautiful. Wonderful.
It is spectacle in its truest form.
Because as per usual, black people make everything better. Like, marching bands, turn the fuck up out of that. Like, all of it.
I mean, listen, let the girl speak her truth.
But yeah. So I think, like, this version of drill team is very much white people's version of stepping.
Also, I just love that they're spinning guns.
They are literally spinning guns.
Like in the beginning, she's so not about it. She's like, what the fuck are they doing on the camera?
Because it actively
Which is fair, because
sense.
that should be your reaction.
Right.
If you see anybody, especially a pack of people, it's like the Good Luck Charlie situation. You know, when we were like...
With the paintball guns.
We were like, this is kind of too much. It doesn't work in this climate anymore.
No, it doesn't.
It really does not. But yeah, it's still a fun film to watch. Mm-hmm. I think that it surprised me how sort of fine it was, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It, like, because I have such fond memories of it, and I approached it sort of with a strong nostalgia factor, and I was like, oh, it's okay. You know, like, it's not going to make my top 10. Like, Lemonade Mouth was better than this. You know, I enjoyed that a lot. And, you know, more so than this one. So, like, yeah, it was just an interesting space to get to realize that's how I felt.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's a weird one in that it, like, it holds up, and then at the same time, it kind of lost some of the shine that it had when you were a kid. And I used to love, like, military type movies since, like, I am a military kid, so I always just attached to them. But yeah, it's like, even with that, it's like, okay, I don't know. It's like, I feel like there's just better done ones.
It feels very sort of, I think it's because her hurdle really is just this military school, and it is sort of this, like, individual versus uniform struggle.
Yeah.
It's kind of one note. Like, there's not really much else going on that sort of holds water. And when you're a kid, that lens of exploring one thing really sort of thoroughly, that's perfect for a kid. Right. You know what I mean? You can only pay attention to so much at a time. Us being older, we look back on it and it's like, all right, like, you know, now we understand complex stories and layered stories and layered characters. And while this has that to a degree, there are layers that are all sort of very neatly stacked. Yeah. Mom and dad divorced, but okay. New stepdad, but okay. You know what I mean? And we actually, I don't know how many Disney Channel original movies we watch that actually end up sort of with the layers being that neat.
That flat.
That's the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And it's not a bad thing, because it's like, again, this is a kid's...
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
A kid's movie.
And like I said, I loved it when I was little. Yeah. Really loved it. Was really excited to watch it again. Yeah. But it's not bad. No. It's just not as great as I remember it being.
Yeah, which is perfectly fine. I mean, I think that is perfectly fine, because that's gonna happen too.
Even the drill team part. Like, I remember being into the drill team routine. I was watching it now, and I was like, okay.
I was literally just sitting there like, well, as per usual, the Marines are better. Like, it just, that's literally what I said.
That is the exact sentence that came out of her mouth as we were watching.
As per usual, even in real life, the Marines are better.
Overall.
So, I say that as an army brat, but like, it just is what it is. They're the smallest group because they're the hardest to get into. They're sharp. They're sharp. Like, it just is what it is. But yeah, you know, sometimes things just don't code up. Do you think with that, will you show it to your kids?
I think, I don't know if I would actively. I think that there are probably going to end up being a lot of, not even just Disney Channel or movies, generally speaking, that I'm going to be, you know, that I'm really going to want to show them. I'm really going to want to make sure that they watch. I'm not going to say I wouldn't, but I don't know when this would come up. Yeah. I don't know when I would be like, oh, wait, we got to watch Cadet Kelly. Yeah. Even scrolling through DCOMs. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily see it coming to the top of any sort of barrel. That being said, you know, I'm not gonna. I think, you know, if my kid watches it and they like it, they can play it over and over. They can do that. Like, that's fine. I would never turn it off. If they ask me what Cadet Kelly is about and they're like, Mom, should I watch it? I'd be like, yeah, watch it. You'd enjoy it. Like, go ahead and watch it. But I don't think that I think it's fine. And so it's not high enough on my list for me to, like, tuck it away as something that I need to expose them to.
No, I feel that. What about you? No, I feel that. I think I might actually almost feel similarly. It's a fine story. Like, it was okay upon rewatching it. But yeah, it does lose kind of some of its shine. But, you know, I think kids do enjoy it. I remember I enjoyed it a lot. And it has Lizzie McGuire and Christy, Carlson, Romano. So it's like, if you want a little, like, I don't want to say girl power, but...
Yeah, I mean, it falls under that category, I think. And it's nice that it's two, you know, she's fighting with it's two women fighting, and yeah, there's a boy sort of involved, but it's not really, it is psychological warfare.
It's literally not about him at all.
Between two girls. And, like, that's always kind of fun to watch. Like, we gotta stop pitting women against each other, but, like, we are kind of crazy, and we are, when we fight, it is psychological warfare. And watching that play itself out on screen is...
No, it's fun. It is actively fun. And...
Yeah, but, like, even, like, you just brought up, like, I would sit down and show them Lizzie McGuire. Yeah. And I'd sit down and show them Even Stevens and be like, you know, it's like, oh, like, you love physical comedy? Oh my God, you love Even Stevens. Like, let's watch that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I would do both of those probably miles before I showed them this. And I would feel like that's fine. They don't have to engage with this because they've seen, like, the best of these people. And, you know, Kim Possible. Like, I do all that, you know?
I also do feel like we have so much in America, we just get so much military propaganda. Like, if we're being 100% honest, like, you don't need this film to teach you about anything in regards to that.
That's true.
Like, I mean, obviously, I don't know as, like, a non-military kid, but I feel like even if you're not affiliated, like,
no, you get
a lot of it through our media.
And especially in sort of a post 9/11 America. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know how engaged, or I don't know how present the military was in my life before that, but, being in New York, 9/11 was obviously a very memorable experience that I lived through as a young child. And I just recall, like, since then, the military has been, like, an active part of my life. Yeah. If that makes sense? Like, yeah. It's something that is engaged with regularly, and it is something that I do feel, even in sort of my most, like, open spaces, it is a subject that I feel I have yet to find the space where I feel, like, safe actually speaking about the military. And not because I think everything about the military is, like, a problem, but because, again, it's my interaction with them, it's complicated. I think all military systems, all war is complicated. And while there are things about it that can be admirable, there is a lot of pain, suffering, trauma that is the direct result of these types of entities existing in our world, and us, supporting them the way that we do. But there's, like, no space to talk about that. And I think that I don't know what America was because I was a child. Like, I never experienced America in a space able to discuss the military in any way, and that wasn't pro-military. Yeah. Or where having a negative opinion of anything that the military does somehow makes you less American. But that is 110% the climate that, as far as I can tell, even in the most quote-unquote liberal or whatever the hell of places, has existed since I was,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're, like, an intensely patriotic country. And just culture.
Nationalist?
Yeah, well, yes. We're very nationalist here. Deeply. And if you ever travel anywhere else, you realize it within, like, 30 minutes. Yeah. So it's just one of those things that I think is so, like, ingrained in our culture, is just, like, this the patriotism, and then the automatic respect that you're supposed to have for our military. Yeah. And all of our armed forces, and or this that's idea. Sorry. Yeah, and I just think, like, this, like, even the fact that in this one they don't even tell you, like, really the ranks and what they all mean, you just know. Like, as soon as they're like cadet and captain and she's this, like, that's never really explained. And it was just one of those things I picked up on. I'm like, they don't even, okay. Like,
yeah, you would think that would be a moment that's something that we could see Carla explain to her.
Right, and just be like, cadet is this and captain is this. And she kind of goes through, like, bigger rankings, but, like, it still is not fully, like, explained all of the different things, but it's because that even at, like, such, like, 5, 6, 7, you already have an idea of military rankings in America. Like, you just get it so young.
Yeah, and we make a lot of movies and television about
so many things.
The military. And I think in another part of it, like, what you're saying, it just sort of it reminded me of this particular thing that has always sort of tweaked me, and it's the way in which to speak against the military at any moment is equated with speaking against soldiers.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not...
It becomes, like, a personal thing. And it's like...
It's like the Blue Lives Matter situation where you're like, that's not... Or, like, All Lives Matter. You're like, but that's not...
It's also ironic because of the way that the military is all about uniform. Yeah. It's not about the individual. That's the whole thing. Is like united we stand, divided we fall. Like, it's very much just like...
I'm not talking about the soldiers.
You're talking about the entity, not the individual people that have to work into it. Because it's like, I don't... Most of the... Like, listen. If we're going to be dead-ass honest about the military, a lot of POCs have been able to get up in class by somebody in their families being involved in the military, and that just is what it is. Like that's what happened with my family, and that's what happens with a lot. What happened with a lot of Black and Latinx people.
They recruit very heavily,
right, in
poor working class of color areas, and
it's how a lot of people get out of their towns. Like it's like that's true too. It's like it can be a lot of things for different people.
Yeah.
For some people it literally is an escape. Like and that's actually what happens with Carla, which she talks about. Yeah. She's just like, home is not good for me, and this is like my escape. I actively choose to be in this military school. Yeah. And that's the truth for a lot of people. They're just like, I would have never escaped my little podunk town or my little inner city if I did not join the military. That's what my mom was like that. Like, she's like, I would have never left my town if I didn't join the military. And now I'm able to do all these other things. And now you're able to live this life where you've traveled. You know, like, it's like, so it... Yeah. It's I have a very complicated relationship with it because of that. But I can also acknowledge that the entity itself is bad. Like,
yeah, it's very I don't know. It's very weird for me because I don't know. I really don't know if I can fully say that the entity, like the institution, is sort of fully bad. I think that there are times when like the American usage of it, or like the way that America approaches running it, is, from what I can tell, pretty shit.
Yeah.
More often than it's not.
Well, I'm thinking America specific. I'm not talking about every.
Yeah, but it's like at the same time though, it's like, but then
because we have a very specific.
Yeah, but there's that. But then there's that part of me that's like, all right, but you're not running any type of country, like,
right?
You know, like, on the grander scale, like, we have a military because it's a global necessity for us to have it and, like, be able to exist the way that we exist. So actually, who the fuck are you to say that the way America is handling its military falls into the shit category more often than not? Because, like, you know, like, that's, like, my complication goes into that type of territory where it's, like, sometimes even I sort of question my, like, not right to the opinion or like an observation, because like I observe what I observe and I draw conclusions like every other human. Like, that's just what I do biologically. But, you know, to what I try to like, or I end up questioning myself on the lens through which I'm viewing it at any given moment. So it becomes complicated for me, like, in that sense. But, and again, I think that does have something to do with, like, being in New York when 9/11, like, being a New Yorker and experiencing 9/11 in New York, because, you know, like, it created a very complicated, as a Black child, a very complex, layered relationship with, like, these institutions of protection and response that America has. Because I've seen the outside hit home. And it hit home, you know. I remember the smell of that smoke in a very real way, and it lasted for days, and it was, you know what I mean, like, it didn't go away, and like I watched the way our community came together and rallied, and then at the same time, though, I'm Black in America, and I have a very real understanding of the institutions of America and how deeply flawed they are. So there's just that. Yeah. There's that depth to the consideration at all time when I'm
and it's also, I will also say, New York City is a very interesting place because it's not, this is ironic, it's not military friendly, which is weird to say, but it's like, if you go in other places, there's just like a different... there's more of a culture, I think, around being a military, like being in the military that does not exist here. Because I know even if I'm in other places and I'm like, oh, do you have a military discount? Or like that, like, and it's normal. Like, that's not a weird thing for you to ask. Like, people will be like, oh yeah, we offer 10%, 50%. Oh, I'm sorry, we're not doing, you know, whatever it might be. Because like, that's just what it is. Like, that's the norm. But if I remember the few times when I first moved up here and I would ask, because I had my military ID at that time, and they would look at me crazy here in the city. And even when I would like present my ID whenever we would like go out to, like, you know, we were going out to a bar or whatever, and like that was my ID before I got my New York driver's license for the first couple months. they didn't know what it was. Like, because because even though there actually is a military base in Brooklyn, most people don't know that.
There really is.
Literally 90% of people do not know that here in the city, but B, there's like there's no culture of the military here, which is very interesting after 9/11. So it's like, I think a lot of people don't have much of an interaction. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't exist in the rest of the country. Yeah, like the rest of the country has a different sort of relationship to it.
Yeah, and I do think a part of like that complication that I have, or that thing, I think that there's a level to which, like, in most of my experiences, like you're saying, and now that I'm thinking about it, it's in New York, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like I find myself in positions of defending the military more often than I don't, mm-hmm. regardless of like how I'm actually relating to it, because like I'm engaging with people who I feel like take it for granted, or like don't, mm-hmm. you know what I mean, who like are coming at, and that's why I kind of put that like liberal culture, like coming with this like very way left, break down all the institutions, which is like to a degree, like I really do agree with that you can't fix the broken house with broken tools. Like, you gotta just dismantle that bad boy.
Can't use the master's tools to break him down.
Radical race theory, y'all.
Yeah.
But but at the same time, it's like, I don't know if it was just that experience, but very visceral reaction of like, but let's not, we don't got throw babies out with the bathwater. Like, let's remember that we have seen firsthand that there's a reason why mm-hmm. it exists the way it does, so that when it gets called on for what we define as a good, it shows up and it does protect and it does look after, and there are people like that. Has to be people. Yeah, it's an institution, but people have to choose to do that. Mm-hmm. So, but it is very much because of, I think, like you sort of pointing that out in that particular comparison. I think that is because I'm in a place or I've grown up in a place where it doesn't have that military.
You don't have that
culture. That culture of like deep respect.
Yeah.
And it's something that I understand why exists everywhere else, mm-hmm. and that I respect that deep respect to a certain degree. And then at the same time, like, that intellectual, logical part of me that's looking at things as a whole, and that part of me that's a black woman in America looking at things as a whole, is like breaking it down from different lenses, and it all creates this very sort of, not turbulent, but mixy little soup of feelings.
I feel like it's, it's like you can be all things.
You can be all
listen, the Army's slogan, the slogan used to be all you can be.
It really was.
The military is
And I remember, and they used it, and it was always just,
There's a little song. Anyway.
It was, I remember those, there were so many Army commercials on, like, BT.
Of course there were, because that's who they were targeting.
No, it was horrible. I remember I had a friend in high school who used to specifically she told stories about, like, them, like, talking to, like, her little brothers, like, playing like, her little brother saying at, like, 11 or 10 that 10 years ago, mm-hmm. that he wanted to be in the military. That's what he wanted to do, and she was, like, horrified. Mm-hmm. 'Cause she was like, how does he even... That's what he want, like, because they do send it direct, and but it's not an easy. It's one of those things that if you look at it through different eyes, it is very. There's a lot of bad, but there's also a lot of good. So
it's like anything that's a system. It's a mixed bag.
Although there are some systems that are pretty much all pretty.
Well, yes, but for this one, it's just very much like it's a patriarchy. We can throw that out the window. That's the baby and the bathwater, all together.
But it's like a demon baby.
Yes,
you know what I mean? It's like one of the alien babies that you're like, no.
Yeah,
that one can go.
But it's a mixed bag. It can be a variety of things for a variety of people.
And Kelly learns that. Yeah. To bring it back full circle, she does. Like, and the Commandant knows that. Like, her team is mad because of because they don't tell them, which is strange. Why didn't you just tell them? It's dumb. But like her team is upset with her, and he knows that whatever's happening is more important than that, even though he's been telling her this whole time to like learn this way of living and understand why we do it, you know. But like there's also in that moment, like that's actually the fallen member of her team, because it's her father.
Right.
She gotta go get her dad. You know what I mean? Like, that's more important than a drill competition at the end of the day. And even he knows that. So it's like, you're sort of always, there are scales that are just always in play. It's a constant piling on and taking off, and we're all just, I guess, trying to, like, balance that.
Yeah. No.
Find justice in it somewhere, I guess.
Exactly. And, you know, I think everybody figures out how they relate to systems in their own way, in their own time. She's figuring out how she relates to this one. She's not the type that would be going to West Point, I'm assuming. Like, when she graduates from this high school, she's probably like, so I'm going to Carnegie Mellon.
RISD?
Just like, or just, you know, Juilliard, anywhere else. A place where I can have my artsy self.
They work at Juilliard.
They do, I know. But she would probably actually after this thrive somewhere like that, because she has the discipline and the art skills.
Yes.
She's gonna be like, after that, this is a piece of cake.
I'm breezed right through.
But yeah, you know, everybody's got to define things for themselves, and I think that's like the biggest thing in this movie.
Yeah, and that, you know, and that things can come together. Disparate worlds can come together and make something worthy of at least a silver.
Yeah.
If not, you know, a gold medal when you combine all the factors.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with that, we'll see you guys next week. Talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of The Critics Kingdom. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and SoundCloud so you can stay up to date, as well as interacting and letting us know what you guys think on social media. You can find us on Twitter at Critics Kingdom and on Instagram at The Critics Kingdom. We're excited to talk to you again next week.